In this video, we are going to discuss all players of IEM Katowice and their chances to win this event, from S tier to D tier. I'll give my prediction for the event, and you can share your opinion in the comments. Let's start with Gumiho, one of the most promising players in this tournament. While historically this Terran player has always had decent and consistent results, only recently Gumiho made it to the peak point of his performance. Last year was magnificent for him, and with many victories and important second place finishes, I would rank him as A tier, and he certainly has a nice shot at this tournament. Next we have Solar, who has just recently been crowned as a GSL champion. Solar is in some ways similar to Gumiho. He has always been around in the top, but not quite there yet. But in 2023 his results improved significantly, and he is easily one of the best Zerg players on the planet. He also got a relatively easy group stage to start things off, and I would put him in A tier, and I'm pretty confident he'll go far in this tournament, unless he catches a big fat nuke once again. The best Polish player Spirit also improved a bit since the last tournament, but in my opinion his chances are slim here. He still has to catch up a bit to the level of the very best players, but you shouldn't be really sleeping on him. Spirit has proved multiple times that he is very capable of making upsets and having nice runs in tournaments, and while I put him in C tier, we could expect some magic from him, and I'm pretty sure his games are gonna be fun. Heromarine used to be one of the best Terran players in Europe for so many years, but this time passed, and while he's one of the toughest and experienced competitors in this tournament, I feel like his results and overall performance declined quite a bit since IEM Katowice in 2022, when he made it to the semi-finals. It's hard to maintain and even grow the skill level over so many years, but this tournament is not about 5% improvement over the course of many months. It's about being the best and dominating your opponents. And I can say this for Heromarine, so I would rank him C tier. Next we have Scarlett, in my opinion one of the most diverse and unique Zerg players in the whole world. But it's so difficult to predict her runs, because one day she can crush any opponent and fly home with a trophy, and the next day she'll just flop in an easy match. Even though she is the real veteran of the scene and she's been competing since 2011, her recent results leave much to be desired. But again, she's a kind of a dark horse when it comes to predicting tournament runs, so I would rank Scarlett in the middle. It could be a disastrous performance, but it could also be something we'll remember for many years. Just let's wish the stars align this time. Trigger is the newcomer here, and according to Wikipedia, even his first Grandmaster League was achieved only in 2020. It would be a super tough tournament for him, and while it's a really great experience, his chances of winning are very low, so it's gonna be our first D tier. He is an underdog for sure, but who knows. The last time I also ranked Oliveira as D tier, but he went on to win the whole thing. So we'll see. Ever since Clem appeared on the scene, everybody was predicting him to become the next Serral or Reynor in the next couple of years. Eventually, it took way longer than expected, but now we can proudly say that he's probably the best Terran in the whole world. At least he can prove that with his latest ESL Winter victory. His progress has been incredible, and I think it's safe to assume he's one of the candidates to win the whole thing. So it will be an S tier for him. Cure has always been overshadowed by other Terran players, especially Maru, but this year he's come really close to toppling his main rival. His results improved a lot, and while he's still lagging just a bit behind other top competitors, he's only a few inches away from becoming one of the greatest players of our time. I think it would be safe to bet he is in A tier. Oliveira made history with his last year's run, but can he do it again? Honestly, I feel like this time it will be 10 times harder for him. He is no longer a dark horse, and people will treat him as a serious competitor. He's, of course, very capable of winning against anyone, but I have a gut feeling we won't see the same Cinderella story twice in a row, so I would rank him in B tier. Bunny, just like many players in this tournament, had a bunch of good results this year, and yet he is quite far from the cream of the crops. His biggest results was top 4 at GSL in the beginning of 2023, so I would rank him C tier. Don't expect much from him, but I would be glad if he surprises me. SHIN, previously known as Ragnarok, falls under the same category as Bunny, just not quite there yet. He can cause some big upsets, and many still remember his victory over Serral in the previous IEM, but in 2023 he can't really boast off with great results, so it's gonna be a C tier for him. Stats, once the best Protoss player and so-called Shield of Ire, is no longer a favorite in most tournaments. After his military service, he's got a lot of work to catch up with other players who have been rigorously training and competing for these 18 months he was away. The skill level in StarCraft 2 is rising so fast you literally can't take breaks from this game. But all I know is that stats can make impossible happen, but in such fierce competition, it won't be an easy task even to make it out of the group, so I would place him still in B tier, mostly because of his past achievements and capability to do well on the big stage. Next we have Serral, he's just the GOAT. Do we really need to discuss it? It's S tier, the best player in the world and in the history of all competitive gaming. The skill, the mindset, the consistency. Nothing even comes close to this Finnish legend, and yet he is not invincible. Not like he has anything to prove because he won every possible tournament, but still, this year is the last one for him because next he'll have to do military service, and it would be really cool to finish it with some farewell victories, right? Astrea has been the best American player for a long time, and he's been improving with steady pace, and yet again, not as close to some other competitors as we would like him to be. I think it's C tier, but I would be very happy if he manages to prove me wrong. ByuN is amongst the most successful Terran players in StarCraft 2, and I would be amazed to see him come on top once again. His results were okayish in 2023, and he is known for his crazy micro and surprising tournament runs. However, we all know that it's been a long time since his last big victory. Nevertheless, he is a solid A tier player who can win the whole thing in his right top form. We'll see. Kelazhur is an amazing player, but it's gonna be D tier for him in my prediction list. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's a very difficult tournament, and Kela just pales in comparison with other players. There are no big results for him in 2023. Skillous has been probably the most promising player from Russia over the last 5 years or so, and it's also the only player in this tournament who I once managed to beat in an offline tournament finals in St. Petersburg 4 years ago. Yes, I'm flexing, guys, I know. But jokes aside, he's a very strong competitor and just a great human being, but I feel like he's always struggled a bit with his nerves and composure during big events, and he admitted that on Twitter multiple times. I wish him luck, and I'll be really rooting for him, but I can't really place him higher than C tier. Firefly is a Chinese dark horse with no real achievements so far. D tier for sure, and let's wish him luck. Last time I said the same about Oliveira and he won the whole thing, so really anything can happen on this tournament. For Dark, it's also his last year as the military is inbound, and it's crucial for him to win this tournament. Overall, he's always been one of the best Zerg players for almost 10 years now, and he's known for his aggressive playstyle and his killer instinct. It's a solid A tier for me, or maybe even S tier, and it's really hard to decide. I have no doubts we can see him with a trophy in a couple of days, but at the same time, he's slightly worse than some other players in this S tier category, so we'll see. But for now, in my opinion, it's A tier. Maru has been the best Terran player in the world for so many years that we always expect him to finally crush everyone in a tournament bracket. And surprisingly, aside from GSLs, it doesn't happen as often as we expected. Is it the mindset, nerves, or something else? I don't really know, but last time his victory was stolen by Oliveira, so now it's time to reclaim it back. He has all that it takes to do that, and that's S tier for sure. Reynor is just like Serral, but even faster. Maybe a bit less consistent, but at least in my mind he's the second best player in the world right now. I would not be even slightly surprised if he wins the whole thing, and I think it's a very easy guess. S tier, of course. Hero has been the best Protoss player for the last couple of years, but now his results have declined a bit. Is it because of Protoss' notorious difficulty and inconsistency on tournaments, or is it something else? Honestly, I don't know, but I don't have a feeling that he'll be able to win this IEM. I know it sounds sad, but it is what it is. What I know is that he can certainly reach top 4 or even finals, so it's still A tier. Showtime is one of my all-time favorite players, but sadly I don't really remember any event when he would significantly outperform the expectations. He is a solid all-round Protoss player, but he's also been placed in the group of death, so it's a C tier for me. Cyan is the second underdog for China, and as it was with Firefly, just difficult to predict anything. Next to Oliveira? Maybe, but very likely that it won't happen again. So it's the D tier. And that's it for today. What do you think about my tier list? Just don't forget to share your predictions in the comments, argue with me or with other people, it's gonna be fun, I know. And have a great time watching this tournament, and see you later.